My daughter-in-law, a woman I once genuinely adored, stole my $3 million engagement ring for a party. Not asked, not borrowed, but outright took it from my locked jewelry box. And then, well, then things got a whole lot worse than just a missing ring. Tell me, would you have reacted the same way I did when faced with such a brazen betrayal? Would you have held back, or would you have unleashed the full force of a mother-in-law scorned? Because I can tell you, after everything that happened, I don't regret a single thing. It all started innocently enough, or so I thought. My son, Mark, met Sarah about 5 years ago. From the moment he introduced her to me, I was smitten. She was vibrant, intelligent, and seemed to genuinely love him. I had always hoped for a strong, kind woman for my son, and Sarah appeared to fit the bill perfectly. Their wedding was a beautiful affair, and I remember feeling such joy looking at them, thinking about the wonderful life they would build together. I welcomed her into our family with open arms, treating her not just as a daughter-in-law, but as the daughter I never had. We shared recipes, went shopping, and even had spa days together. I confided in her, and she seemed to do the same with me. It was a relationship I truly cherished. My husband, bless his soul, passed away a decade ago, leaving me with our family home, a comfortable inheritance, and, of course, my most prized possession, my engagement ring. It wasn't just any ring, it was a magnificent piece, a true heirloom, a 5-carat flawless diamond flanked by 2 perfect emeralds set in platinum. It had been in my husband's family for generations, a symbol of enduring love and commitment, and its value, both sentimental and monetary, was immense. We had it appraised a few years prior, and the insurance valuation came back at a staggering $3 million. Because of its value and significance, I rarely wore it. It was reserved for very special occasions, big family weddings, milestone anniversaries, or important charity galas. Most of the time, it resided in a discreet, felt-lined compartment within my antique jewelry box, which itself was kept in a locked safe in my walk-in closet. Only I knew the combination to the safe, and the key to the jewelry box was always on my person or hidden in a very specific, secret spot. About 6 months ago, Mark and Sarah announced they were expecting their first child. I was absolutely thrilled. A grandchild, it was everything I had dreamed of. I started crocheting baby blankets, buying tiny outfits, and planning the nursery. Sarah was glowing, and our bond seemed to deepen even further as we discussed baby names and birthing plans. We were truly a happy family, or so I believed. One Tuesday afternoon, Sarah came over to my house. She said she needed a break from work stress and wanted to just relax. We had tea, chatted about the baby, and then she asked if she could look through my jewelry. This wasn't unusual. She often admired my collection, especially some of the vintage pieces. I unlocked my main jewelry box, not the safe, mind you, just the regular, everyday box where I kept less valuable items. We went through earrings, necklaces, and bracelets, and she oohed and awed over everything. She even tried on a few pieces, giggling like a schoolgirl. It was a lovely afternoon. When she left, I tidied up, locked the jewelry box, and thought nothing more of it. A few days later, I was invited to a very prestigious charity gala. It was the perfect occasion to wear my special ring. I went to my walk-in closet, opened the safe, and retrieved the antique jewelry box. My heart fluttered with anticipation as I reached for the secret compartment. But when my fingers met empty velvet, a cold dread washed over me. The ring was gone. My magnificent $3 million ring, the symbol of my husband's love, was not there. Panic, cold and sharp, seized me. I tore through the entire safe, then the entire closet, pulling out drawers, emptying boxes. Nothing, it wasn't anywhere. My mind raced. Had I moved it? Had I forgotten where I put it? No, I was meticulous with that ring. It always went back into that specific compartment. I racked my brain, thinking about who could have possibly accessed my safe. Only a handful of people even knew I had a safe, and absolutely no one knew the combination. Then a chilling thought entered my mind: Sarah. She had been here, alone with me, just days before. Could she have somehow seen me open the safe? Could she have found the key to the jewelry box? The thought was so repulsive, so unthinkable, that I immediately dismissed it. My sweet Sarah, never. I must have misplaced it. I spent the next 24 hours in a frantic search, turning my house upside down. Every nook, every cranny, every place I could possibly have put it. Still nothing. The growing certainty in my gut was sickening. This wasn't a misplacement. This was a theft. And the only person who had been in a position to take it was Sarah. But why and how? I replayed that Tuesday afternoon in my mind. We had been in the living room, then the kitchen. I remembered going to the bathroom at one point, leaving her alone in the living room for a few minutes. Had she used that time? But the safe, how? I tried to push the dark thoughts away, but they clung to me, insistent. I called Mark, trying to sound calm, telling him I couldn't find my ring and asking if he or Sarah had seen it. He sounded concerned, promising to ask Sarah. A few hours later, he called back, saying Sarah hadn't seen it and was very upset that I had lost something so precious. He even offered to come over and help me look. I politely declined, my mind already made up. I knew where my ring was. I just needed proof. I didn't want to accuse her without undeniable evidence, but I couldn't shake the suspicion. The next day, I started my own investigation. I hired a private detective, discreetly, of course. I told him I suspected a specific person and gave him Sarah's name. It felt awful, like I was betraying my own family, but I had to know. The detective was good. Within 48 hours, he had something. Not a confession, but a lead. Sarah had been bragging to her friends about a new ring she had acquired, a push present from Mark, supposedly. She was planning to wear it to a very exclusive, high-profile charity event that coming Saturday night. The detective even managed to get me a photo from one of her friend's social media accounts, a blurry picture of Sarah's hand, adorned with what looked unmistakably like my ring. My blood ran cold. It was my ring, there was no doubt. The distinctive setting, the flawless diamond, the emeralds. My ring being paraded around as a push present by my own daughter-in-law. The rage that boiled within me was unlike anything I had ever felt. It wasn't just about the money, though $3 million is not insignificant. It was about the utter disrespect, the blatant betrayal, the audacity of her actions. She had not only stolen from me, but had lied, then planned to flaunt it publicly, making a mockery of my generosity and trust. I thought of all the times I had helped her, all the times I had been there for her, all the love I had given her. It felt like a punch to the gut, a betrayal of the deepest kind. The detective then shared something else, something that explained how she got into my safe. Apparently, she had seen me input the combination during a casual conversation a few weeks prior. I had been opening the safe to retrieve some documents, and she was sitting nearby, seemingly engrossed in her phone. I hadn't even thought twice about it. And the key to the jewelry box, she had found it in its secret spot, a spot I thought was impenetrable, when she was supposedly looking for a tissue in my purse. She had been planning this meticulously. This wasn't a spur of the moment decision. This was calculated. So that's the situation I was in. My daughter-in-law, pregnant with my grandchild, had stolen my most valuable possession and was about to wear it to a public event, claiming it as her own. And I had to make a choice. Before I tell you what happened next, I want you to pause and comment below what you would have done in my shoes. Would you have confronted her privately? Would you have involved the police immediately? Would you have tried to retrieve the ring quietly? I'm curious to hear your thoughts, because what I did next, well, it was certainly a choice. I considered all my options. Confronting her privately seemed pointless. She was a liar and a thief. She would deny it, twist the story, and probably try to gaslight me. Going to the police felt harsh, especially with a grandchild on the way. But then again, she stole $3 million from me. This wasn't a minor offense, but the thought of her, proudly wearing my ring, making a spectacle of it at a public event, was what truly ignited my resolve. I decided to make a statement, a very public statement. I called my lawyer and explained the situation. He was shocked, but understood my desire for discretion while still ensuring justice. We concocted a plan. That Saturday night, I dressed impeccably, putting on a beautiful gown and my finest pearls. My demeanor was calm, outwardly, but inside, a storm was brewing. I arrived at the charity gala, making a point to be fashionably late, ensuring Sarah would already be there, settled and comfortable. As I entered the main ballroom, my eyes immediately scanned the room. There she was, standing with Mark and a group of their friends, radiant and glowing, her hand held up as she gestured animatedly. And there, glittering on her finger, was my ring, my beautiful stolen ring. I walked directly towards them, my head held high, a polite but firm smile on my face. Mark saw me first and smiled, waving me over. Sarah's smile faltered for a fraction of a second when she saw me, but she quickly recovered, offering a saccharine, sweet mother-in-law, darling, so glad you could make it. I ignored her initial greeting, my gaze fixed on the ring. Sarah, I said, my voice clear and calm, cutting through the pleasantries. That's a beautiful ring you're wearing. Her cheeks flushed slightly, but she quickly put on an innocent act. Oh, this, yes, Mark gave it to me as a push present. Isn't he just the sweetest? She beamed at Mark, who looked a little uncomfortable, but proud nonetheless. My heart ached for my son, caught in the middle of this charade. Mark, I said, turning to him, you bought Sarah a $3 million ring as a push present. His eyes widened slightly. $3 million. No, Mom, it's just a beautiful ring. I didn't spend anywhere near that. He looked confused, clearly having no idea about the true value, or the true origin, of the ring on his wife's finger. I then turned back to Sarah, my voice dropping slightly, but still audible to those around us. Sarah, you know that ring belongs to me. It's my engagement ring, passed down from my husband's family. It's an heirloom, and it was taken from my safe without my permission. The entire group around them fell silent. Mark's face went white. Sarah's carefully constructed composure began to crumble. Her smile vanished, replaced by a mask of anger and fear. What are you talking about? She hissed, her voice low and furious. This is mine. Mark gave it to me. I maintained eye contact, unwavering. No, Sarah, it's not, and I have the documentation to prove it. The appraisal, the insurance policy, the photographs, all of it. I then, very deliberately, pulled out my phone and held it up, displaying the picture the detective had sent me, a clear, high-resolution photo of my ring, worn by me years ago, next to the recent, blurry social media shot of Sarah wearing it. And I also have proof of you flaunting it before tonight, claiming it as your own. I believe that's called theft. A ripple of whispers went through the small crowd that had gathered around us, drawn by the sudden tension. Mark looked from me to Sarah, his face a mixture of shock, confusion, and dawning horror. "Sarah, what is she talking about?" he asked, his voice trembling. Sarah finally cracked. "She's lying. She's old and forgetful. She probably just lost it and is trying to blame me," she shrieked, her voice rising, attracting more attention. This was precisely the reaction I had anticipated. I remained calm. "Sarah, let's not make a scene. You can return the ring to me right now, and we can discuss this privately, or we can involve the authorities." Her face was a terrifying shade of purple. She knew she was caught. Her eyes darted around, looking for an escape, but there was none. Mark, who had remained silent, now stepped forward, his face etched with pain. "Sarah, give her the ring," he said, his voice flat. Sarah hesitated, then, with a furious, jerky motion, she ripped the ring off her finger and practically threw it at me. It landed with a soft clink on the plush carpet. I bent down, calmly picked it up, and slid it onto my own finger. It felt right where it belonged. The rest of the night was a blur. Mark pulled Sarah away, his face grim. I heard later that there was a very public, very heated argument between them in the hallway. I, on the other hand, spent the rest of the evening accepting apologies from various friends and acquaintances who had overheard the exchange, all of whom were appalled by Sarah's actions. The story, naturally, spread like wildfire through the entire social circuit. Sarah became a pariah. Mark called me the next day, his voice hoarse. He was devastated. He had confronted Sarah, and she had eventually confessed everything, trying to rationalize it by saying she deserved something beautiful and that I had so much. Mark was furious, not just about the theft, but about the lies, the betrayal, and the public humiliation. He couldn't reconcile the woman he married with the person who had done this. The aftermath was painful, but necessary. Mark filed for divorce shortly after. He couldn't trust her anymore, and the emotional damage was too deep. The pregnancy made things complicated, of course, but he was resolute. He wanted nothing to do with her beyond parenting their child. I supported him fully, offering him a place to stay and a shoulder to cry on. Sarah tried to fight the divorce, but with the evidence of her theft and her public confession to Mark, her reputation was in tatters. She received a very modest settlement, certainly not enough to justify her actions. As for me, I learned a very hard lesson about trust and appearances. While I am still heartbroken over the loss of the relationship I thought I had with Sarah, I have my ring back, safe on my finger, a reminder of both my husband's love and the painful truth that not everyone you love can be trusted. My grandchild was born a few months later, a beautiful baby boy. Mark is a devoted father, and I am a doting grandmother. Sarah has very limited supervised visitation, and I rarely see her. So that's the whole messy story. It wasn't how I envisioned my life or my son's turning out. But sometimes you have to stand up for yourself, even against family, when lines are crossed so egregiously. Like this video, if you were on my side in this whole ordeal. Subscribe for more stories like this, where trust is tested and justice, in its own way, is served. And please, share your final thoughts on this whole mess in the comments section. I'll see you all in the next story.